Hello, strangers. I'm gonna post another video today, and this one's gonna be a bit of a rant, and it might get political. But at the same time, I consider it an important thing. Um, I was reading a article from the oh boy, I don't know if you can see that, New York Times, asking, can we interest you in teaching? Now, the short answer on that is no. Really, you can't. And the long answer is I already was a teacher. I was an almost teacher. And because of the culture of teaching, what it means to be a teacher in America, where I live, even in a liberal state like California, there's not that many rewards. You know, the pay right off the bat is lower than anything. You spend, for those of you who have not experienced what it is to be teaching, anybody who might even be thinking about this, anybody in the school system as a student who might be thinking of doing this, I ask you to reconsider, because this article, it goes into depth about, what it means to be a teacher and how much training and everything like that, and all the things that are kind of wrong with it. I read through the comment section on that article, and a lot of people are saying that it's funny that the New York Times is presenting that article. It's funny that the person who wrote that story, let me get his name. Let me go back here and get his name. The writer of the article, a Frank Bruni, Bruni. The Times has disparaged the profession of teaching. Mr. Bruni, I hope I'm saying that right, not that I really care, he's been one of the forefront, according to the comments, the regular readers of the Times, he's been at the forefront of disparaging teachers, the teaching profession. And now he's asking, can we interest you in teaching? Why? And what I love is the fact that I'm seeing all these other articles saying there's a teacher shortage. All the, we don't have enough teachers out there. No, you have plenty of teachers out there. You have plenty of people that wanted to be teachers out there. The starting salary for most teachers is, well, around here it's about 40,000, 38 to 42,000. It kind of averages depending on what district you're in. I happen to be in a pretty district-rich environment where I live. There are not only unified districts for the whole K through 12 system, but there's a few. The city of Oxnard, which is not too far away from me, has like about 3 or 4 elementary districts, which cover from K through 8th grade, and then 9 through 12 is handled by its own high school district, which covers all the high schools in the area. So there's bunches, and there's lots of other little towns and things and little districts also around the area nearby. A lot of which I substituted for back when I got my credential. So there's lots of districts, and like I said, the starting pay, depending on which district, is anywhere from $38,000 to $42,000 for a first-year teacher. So that's kind of low. given the amount of work. Now everybody says, "Oh, it's only 10 months out of the year you get all these vacations, you get, 2 weeks of Christmas, you get a week here, you get a week there, you get, various other days scattered throughout there. You get the 2 months off for the summer." That's true. But most of that time, as a teacher, you are doing lesson plans, grading papers that you hadn't gotten to yet. There's all sorts of things that a teacher does behind the scenes, outside of the classroom. And it's one thing to be a teacher in the classroom and have a whole bunch of students, and here's the whiteboard, and here's how everything works and stuff like that. That's the good part of it. And then you have all the other administrative paperwork that goes along with it. All the other things that take time away from the actual teaching of. And that's just standard. And it's become worse, actually. A little bit of my history. And the reason why this article just makes me want to kill something. Because it's, all right, can we interest you in teaching? I went into the teaching profession. I graduated with a degree in history with the intention of, well, pretty much the only thing I can do is to teach. So I've got a lot of history knowledge. I'll give that to the students. And so I did a little bit of substituting, about a year or so of substituting, and then I went into the actual teaching program. Now, I had already run up $30,000-$40,000 in student loan debt just to get my bachelor's degree. Thank you, Santa Barbara. Thank you, University of California at Santa Barbara, UCSB, for making that so much more difficult to get through than it should have been, to the point where I had to run up that much debt. Then I went into the teaching program at Cal State Northridge, and right around that time was when the whole No Child Left Behind laws got into place. And teachers were blamed for failing students, for failing schools, for all this sort of stuff. And the whole thing was reorganized. And all of a sudden, all the teachers started teaching to the test because, well, who cares about actual instruction? We just want to make sure that the students pass the test so that we can keep our jobs. Because they're, and those that didn't make and the schools that didn't pass the tests, that didn't score high enough, and of course you had to score higher and higher every year, and if they didn't score high enough, well, we'll just lower the bar, so it'll make it easy, Nothing became challenging to the students anymore. They defunded all of these schools. They put too much emphasis. There's too much emphasis on send every kid to college. Well, not every kid is going to go to college. Not every kid is going to get college. Okay? A majority will. A majority will. 60%. Just to throw a number out there. 60 to 70, a majority will get the academics in high school necessary to then get the academics that are in college. There are a lot of students out there. If you're only getting about 60% that get it, that can go to college, where does that leave the other 40%? And I'm just making I'm kind of making numbers up here. I'm pretty sure if somebody were to do the research, that I wouldn't be too far off with my numbers here, but let's just, for the sake of argument, say 60%. This is my experience on top of it. 60% get the academics. They can go, they can get the reading, the writing, the math, the science, the everything you need to go through high school, and then take that and go to a college and major in something hopefully useful. Major in something that they teach at any university. You're going to have the other 40%, though, that are more athletic. Okay, well, they can go to college and be athletic and be athletes. So you got another percentage there. You've got other people that are just good with their hands. They're good at building things. We've gotten rid of all the auto shops. We've gotten rid of all the wood shops. We've gotten rid of all the metal shops. We've gotten rid of a whole bunch of arts programs, particularly visual arts programs. We've gotten rid of most of the choir programs. Most schools have bands, mainly because they want a marching band to play for the athletics, for the football teams. So they'll keep the band around so that they can have a marching band to play on the field for their football teams. But everything else is gone. The drama departments are gone. The visual arts departments, the painting, the sculptures, the whatever, those are gone. Choir, to sing. That's what I did all through school. That's what I wanted to do. Before I switched over to becoming a history major, I was a music major. And most of those programs gone, or underfunded, or the teachers that teach those programs also have to teach something else just so they can justify even being there. I nearly lost my choir director in high school my senior year because all he did was teach choir. And in order to justify his being there, he had to teach English on top of it, which he was not qualified to do. He had to rely on the lady who would eventually become his wife, the lady who taught theater, the drama department, who also taught English. She helped him teach English to, so just to justify him being there. That's what I'm talking about. Now, that was back in the 90s. When I got through that program, I racked up another $20,000 or so in student loan debt, which with the interest now I'm at about $100,000. And I got my credential, I went out, and because of No Child Left Behind, because of the defunding of all these schools, and then the recession hit on top of it, and all the schools just started firing teachers. I did a bit of substituting. And I'm a little all over the place, so hopefully you're following along here. I did a bit of substituting. I did a few long-term things, and this is kind of where I'm getting back into, because they've gotten rid of all those other programs, because you're dealing with the 20, 30, 40% or so of the students that aren't going to get the academics, aren't going to get what they need, just can't get. Their minds are not set that way. There is a education theory going around, and it's a meme that's going around lately about the multiple intelligence thing. So, look on Facebook. I'm sure you'll see it. Somebody's passed it around. You'll see it. It's called this multiple intelligence theory. Basically, it means that you are almost intuitively either born that way or because of your upbringing, maybe a little bit of both, in tuned to certain forms of education. And basically the justification says there's no actual stupid people in the education. They're kids that get math. and are horrible at athletics. Or they get reading. They're constantly in books, and they can completely visualize anything that they read and absorb it and get it. But they can't draw. They can't carry a note in a bucket. You get the kids that can play instruments, play multiple instruments, can sing. May not be all that good at math or science. And then you have those kids that don't get math, don't get science, don't get anything like that, and don't get really anything unless they can sit down and pick something up and touch it and take it apart, figure out how it works, and put it back together. These are the people that generally, ideally, those are the people that would go on to be the mechanics of the world, the auto mechanics, the computer repair people, the construction people. They're good with their hands. They know how to make things. They know how to take things apart. They can take things apart, look it over, and put it back together, and make it run as good, if not better, than it was to begin with. They can take something that's broken, see what's wrong with it, and make something, to fix the device, to make it work. They don't teach that in schools anymore. Those programs are gone. The wood shops, the auto shops, all those programs. Those are gone, or they just never existed. There's new technology. I mean, the knowledge you need in order to just make something like this. To say nothing of the software involved in going into this and this. Just to make the components. They don't even teach that. This is all brand new stuff that they don't even teach in schools. And I challenge anybody to find me a major university, an actual university, that teaches construction, how to build a house, how to build a car, how to rebuild a car, how to any of these vocational, what's known as vocational things, they don't teach that at universities. I can't go to the University of California, anywhere, UCLA, UCSB, Berkeley, anywhere, and learn how to build a house, learn how to fit a pipe, how to tie wires together to make the electricity run in my house. No college teaches that stuff. So what happens to, and you don't get that at the high school level, much less the junior high level. So where are the kids that are tuned to that? What are they supposed to do when they're in school? While they're in your kid's history class, when they're in your kid's science class, when they're in your kid's math class, they don't get that stuff. They can't practically apply that stuff to whatever it is that they need to put their hands on to do. It's all theoretical. Great. They're not going to be the math person. They're not going to be the physicists. They're not going to be the chemists. They're not going to be looking at a history book and deciphering, why King so-and-so went off to war. They're not going to look at the literature and receive the epiphany of the era. That's not how their mind works. Those kids are going to be in the classroom with your kids, bored out of their minds. And they're going to cause trouble because they're bored. And they do cause trouble. And I've been in a classroom with 30 of them. Who had no interest whatsoever in anything that I had to say about anything. Because their brains aren't tuned that way. And the ones that are tuned that way can't learn anything from me because the other ones are making too much noise, too much trouble, and there's nothing nothing that I can do or any other teacher can do to get them to be still, be silent, and let the other ones learn what they can. And that comes from the parents of those children as well, who aren't doing the jobs that they need to do to make sure that the teacher can do the job they need to do. That's not worth $40,000. That's not worth the extra hours that nobody pays attention to. Oh, there are a few that pay lip service to that. There's a few politicians that'll pay lip service to how many hours a teacher teaches outside of the classroom. How many hours a teacher works besides the 5 or 6 or 7 hours in front of the whiteboard. How long does it take to read over material, to develop a lesson plan, to present something to the kids that'll keep their interest, teach them something, in a meaningful way? How do you incorporate modern technology? How do you incorporate computers? How do you incorporate tablets? How do you incorporate all that sort of stuff into a classroom environment? How much extra training? You know, you get the summers off, sure. Yeah. At least 1 out of 2 years of those summers, if not every summer, you're spending 4, 6 or so weeks, you're spending your summer in classrooms learning how to incorporate things like this, or some new theory, or some new testing, or some new thing, some new research that somebody's done that says, oh, well, teach your students this way. Okay, well, great. Now I've got a whole new set of ways of teaching that I've got to incorporate into my already existing lesson plan. So now I got to go and revise those. So whatever time I had left in my 8 to 10 week vacation over the summer is now gone, because I've got to completely revise what I've done in order to incorporate these new theories and whatever the principle, the principal says, here's the new research, here's the new theory, here's the new training, and we want you to put this into the classroom. Well, great. Well, that goes everything that I did last year that I was just going to repeat because it was easy, because I've already done it, it already worked, but now I got to incorporate this thing. And oh, by the way, No Child Left Behind, gone. Now we've got Common Core, which, for better or for worse, wherever you fall in that thing, that's just, oh, okay, now we've got a whole new set of things that we have to incorporate into a whole new set of books that I've got to learn. A different theory, a different idea. Is it any wonder that 40 to 50% of the teachers, and this is a statistic that I do know, some people say 40%, it's upwards to 50% of the teachers that go in, first year teachers, they come straight out of whatever credentialing program they manage to get hired, even in this environment. Lucky them, I never did. And they last 5 years and then are gone. They find something else. And that's especially true for math and science teachers. You get a history teacher into the classroom, they're just going to stay there. Which is why there's no demand for history teachers, which is why I never got placed as a history teacher anywhere. Same thing's kind of true for an English major. What else are we going to do as an English or history teacher? What else are we going to do besides teach it? We're going to take the knowledge that we gained and pass it on to the next generation. There's not a whole lot in the rest of the world, if you wanted, I mean, yeah, there's jobs that we could do that have absolutely nothing to do with history, has absolutely nothing to do with English, that we could do. But I mean, if you wanted to teach, or rather, if you wanted to do a job that you spent 4 to 6 years learning about, you know, then what else is there to do but teach? For a math or a science teacher, there's hundreds, thousands of jobs out there, all of which pay at least as much, if not more, upwards of twice as much more than you can get as a teacher. You don't get the stress of being in a classroom. You don't have the deadlines. You don't have the students. You don't have the parents. You know, you don't have as many vacation days. But you don't necessarily need that many vacation days. And even as a teacher, we didn't necessarily get that many vacation days. Yeah, the ones who got the vacations were the students. The teachers still had to be in the classroom. We had meetings. You get these things called in-service days. The students are gone, but the teachers are still at school, either going through a day's worth of meetings with the principal, or, you know, they might be able to spend that day in the classroom just trying to get, you know, grade some papers, get some sheets run off, you know, get lessons prepared. But so the students, you know, you can't look at the number of days the students have off and expect the teachers to have that same number of days. That's not the way it is at all. It's nowhere close. It's nowhere close. Most of those vacations, the students are gone. The teachers are in the classroom, or they're at home, but, you know, they're sitting on their couch with books and papers, you know, 2-3 feet high in front of them, grading, reading. So can we interest you in teaching? Why would I want to? Now, I might go back into substituting. I've been a tutor for the past 6 months. If I don't get much more students, then I may go into substituting. My credential ran out 3 years ago. There's a time limit when you get one. You have to get a job, or it runs out. It expires. Mine expired 3 years ago because I couldn't get a job. Because of all the crap that went on, even here in California. Cutbacks, layoffs. History majors out the wazoo. Hundreds of them, all competing for one job. So I may end up having to go into substituting just out of sheer desperation. My books aren't selling yet. My channel doesn't get enough views yet. Only out of sheer desperation. And that's not the kind of person you want to be teaching. So I'll leave you with that. And I'll say goodbye. Stay strange. Thanks for watching my video. If you like what you just watched, don't forget to give me a thumbs up below. For more of my videos, click the subscribe button on the screen or down in the description below. If you'd like to support me in what I do, I have books that you can read. The links are in the description below. If you want to support in other ways, you can go to my Patreon page and help me out there. You can also follow me on various social media pages. The links to all of those are also below. Thank you again. Stay strange.